to get it and make it into a pizza place. Just double check it.
There's a Pizza Hut and Domino's right down the street.
No, a real pizza place, like a.
Oh, I can break out.
Yeah, like a real pizza place.
I was thinking like a sub shop or something. I guess I could find it.
Yeah, they get some subs there.
Probably turn it back into the oven can.
No, I'll get it. I got it.
I'm thinking about it.
Probably would be bad.
I'm gonna try to get up there this year. I could go there at least once.
All right, welcome everybody. It is April 24th, 2025, and I'll welcome you all to the Kechi City Council meeting. Debbie, can you please call roll?
Here.
Here?
All right, if everyone can please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to approving tonight's agenda. Council, I do want to make mention that item 12 will actually be a recess, not an adjournment.
Hold on, just let me just
maybe
check
not.
the calendar. No, adjournment.
No? Okay, I take it back. Good thing these pens are erasable. All right, so we'll stay at adjournment. Matt, is there an executive session?
No.
Okay. Any other questions or changes, council? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the agenda as written, striking item 11, executive session.
I second. I have a motion by Todd, second by Karen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Moving on to approving tonight's consent agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second. I have a motion by Matt, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye. This is weird. Aye. Carries 4-0.
Stop using that for a minute. Moving on to the communication section, Kechi civic groups or committees. Do we have any civic groups or committees here to speak?
Seeing none.
Speak really loudly. Seeing none, I would also say that the Kechi Fair did host their Easter egg scrambler on April 12th. That was really well attended. In my Kechi Good News in a minute, I will tell you who those winners were. And want to again remind everybody that the Kechi Arts Council is doing their art supply drive to help support the Wichita Children's Home. And again, they'll be accepting donations till April 30th. So make sure you bring them here to City Hall. All right. Any other? None. Okay, move on to Kechi Good News. Do we have any good news?
Sunrise Christian Academy called me today, and they do like a community service, and want to know if we know anybody that maybe needs help. So if you can think, maybe send it my way. She said maybe 3 homes, more like lawn service, pick up trash, that type of stuff.
It might be a good idea if Ben could post it on Facebook, and maybe we can grab some of those names, or even if
Yeah,
we know
she didn't
someone.
give me a very far notice.
Oh, okay, so when is
So,
this due by?
Next week,
Next week? Okay, specific day or?
the 2nd. The 2nd. I've got it in there.
Okay.
2nd.
Well, if anybody knows, I guess PSA for the
Yeah.
council meeting, if anybody knows, please call up to City Hall, and do you want them to ask for you, Chris? Or would that be okay, or
Yeah.
to talk about it? Okay,
Yeah.
ask for Chris. All right, any other Kechi good news besides me? Okay. The Easter egg scrambler happened on April 12th. I want to publicly recognize our lucky gold egg finders. Reese B, Reese B won in the 0 to 3. Madison D won between 4 and 7. Pace Paisley won between 8 and 12, and Georgia, Q, won 13 plus. And we'll have that also in the newsletter with some of our pictures of our winners, so you can enjoy looking at those baskets. Everybody seemed to have a good time. We probably had over 100 people show up, hang out, and meet the Easter Bunny and take lots of pictures. I also want to publicly recognize Officer Allen. He was able to reunite 2 local dogs. So 2 kids brought the dogs to Officer Allen, and then with the help of some other local residents, they were able to locate who the owners were and make sure those got back. So thank you to the residents. I didn't get their names, I apologize.
Those are my kids.
Oh, awesome. The Owens kids brought the dogs back, so thank you, Owens kids. And then Officer Allen, with the help of 2 other residents, who I'm not sure of the names of who helped, but thank you to them as well for making sure those dogs got back safe. So that's awesome. Any other future good news? I don't want to stop the good news, but just want to make sure. Okay. All right. Move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to new business, 2026 budget discussion, capital budget, and goal setting. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We are going to have our first of several budget discussions / budget workshops. And the purpose of our discussion tonight is to specifically talk about our capital budget and set priorities for staff, so we can take the council's vision into the budget process and see if we can get some of that stuff accomplished. So first, we will start with just kind of an overview. A lot of you have seen this before, but it's always good to go over it again, some of the tax terminology, because it is confusing, the terms that we use on a regular basis. One being ad valorem tax. That is your property tax, the taxes you pay on your home or property that you own in Kechi. Your mill rate is your property tax rate, okay? It is the rate of tax applied to your property in Kechi. Many different entities levy a tax on your property, and we'll go through that here in just a minute. So 1 mill generates approximately $33,633. And excuse me, I've been talking all day and my voice is about to go out. I told Chris this afternoon, I hope I keep my voice. So the tax levy is given in mills, and 1 mill produces about $33,000. Your tax levy is your revenue generated by applying the mill rate to the assessed value, and that is the formula that you use to do that, or that we use. So our fund structure, when we talk about different funds, which we will do throughout this budget process, we're going to focus on kind of one budget fund at a time to break it up and make it a little more understandable and get more input from you. But the general fund, these funds are primarily funded by property tax. Your capital project and equipment funds are primarily funded by sales tax. Utility funds are funded by utility charges. Your bond and interest is kind of a special fund. It's established to account for proceeds from bond sales and other revenues. And your special funds, these are funds that have specific restrictions of revenues and expenditures, such as your land bank, your special alcohol taxes, ARPA funds, and specifically the construction project right now, which is the Kechi and Oliver temp nodes. So when we talk about mill rate, we break down the mill rate, and we hear on a regular basis our taxes are too high. Kechi keeps increasing our taxes. That is true. People's taxes continue to go up. The number of mills they have go up. And a lot of times it's dependent on the other taxing organizations or entities that go into your property tax bills. So Kechi takes about 25% of the property taxes you pay. Sedgwick County takes about 19, almost 20%. Kechi is split almost in half between Wichita School District and the Valley Center School District. So Valley Center School District, they assess approximately 45 mills. Wichita assesses approximately 35 mills. The state assesses 1%, or takes up 1%, I'm sorry, going back to the school districts. They assess 65 mills for Valley Center and 51, which is 44 and 35% of that. The state assesses 1.5, Sedgwick County Fire about 18, the township about 1 mil, and the South Central Kansas Library System assesses 1.16 mills. They're regional libraries, and that portion of your mill levy goes to support the regional libraries. I believe ours is in Park City, is who we take advantage of. So when we're talking total mill levy, the city of Kechi assesses 36.667 mils of property tax to your property, okay? With all these other entities taking part in what makes your property tax bill, the final amounts are roughly 139.35 mils or 152.6671, which would be the Valley Center School District. The major difference in those is the school district that you live in. Any questions on that?
I think I'm struggling with, so the doc says 21% for county, but on the spreadsheet it says 19. So is it 19 or 21?
I said about 20.
Oh.
19.86% is roughly 20.
Okay, well, on the, like the,
Yeah, the projections were about 90,000 a year. However, what those did not account for was the compensating use tax. So the compensating use tax is when you purchase something on Amazon. Yes. Yes.
I was like, the finance guy stands up.
As somebody who did, was in place when a new sales tax went on the rolls, when I worked for another city. They are, first of all, they underestimate when they give you their estimate anyway, just because they're trying to err on the side of caution. They don't want you to think you're gonna get a ton of money and then come up short, especially if you're planning on using it for operational stuff, which, I mean, everybody tends to use a portion of it for operational, but regardless of what they say they're using it for. If it's allowed in the particular use that the way they get it approved. But also there is the compensating use tax. I don't want to step on your feet. I figured it's complicated.
No, you're okay.
Save your voice a little bit. So compensating use tax is essentially sales tax that's collected outside of your taxing district. So if you buy something on Amazon, Amazon collects that when you buy it from them, and they remit that to the state of Kansas, but it gets remitted as a separate category tax, but it's sales tax. Also, internet sales are the big one, and that's why they probably still don't include it when they give estimates, because they just we're not prepared for the magnitude. I mean, your compensating use portion of yours is almost, depending on the month, it could be more than what you're collecting locally on the sales tax. So that's why those estimates were low. And again, that side of the taxes, it always tends to come in higher than you think it's going to be. Every year I budgeted a ridiculous number that I thought there's no way it's going to be that high. And every year it blew it out by, September. So, I mean, it continues to grow. More and more of our purchases are online. If we get into a period where interest rates go low again, you'll probably see it creep back up, because large item purchases made outside your district, again, those will probably start increasing too. So.
I'll just say, I bought a car in November and I had to pay, when I went to tag it, I had to pay that
Right.
extra 1%.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
and that's a state law. I questioned it, because I didn't buy it in Wichita, of course. I bought it in Wichita, but I had to pay the extra.
Yeah, the days of driving to Dallas to buy your $100,000 truck to save the sales taxes are over. They're still gonna get it from you.
Yep.
So.
Yep, that one kind of hurt. Can we go back one slide?
Yeah. It's not gonna let me. There we go.
One more slide. So on the state, 1.5 mil levy, I think that has been repealed, but I don't know when that occurs. Is it
What I
July?
understood, I don't think it was actually repealed. I think they're reducing it,
Reducing it.
but I don't know that it'll be, I don't know if that'll apply to this year's budget passage or not. I'll ask about it to see, because I mean, property taxes are weird because, you know, you approve your budget in 1 year, but it doesn't get applied till the next year, but they start collecting that tax in this year. So sometimes the legislature, you know, they pass something that it doesn't actually go into effect for a while, so I'll find out for sure.
Yeah, I
When that's
didn't
gonna happen.
recall reading the actual
Yeah.
date, it expires or ends or whatever. Thank you, that was my other comment,
Okay,
thank you.
okay, so we're good on the 1% sales tax. So I just wanna make one note on there. Nobody did anything wrong, back when they did the sales tax, issue. And those projections were the information that they had at the time. It's very difficult to estimate those compensating use taxes. So that was good information at the time. Of course, just changed. People's buying habits, purchasing more online, more out of the city. We just don't have a lot of retail. So a lot of that compensating use comes back to us, which is good. It benefits us as a city and provides us a lot more money than we had anticipated having, which will pay off in the long run. So it was a very good decision that was made at the time, specifically to fund this road project. It will help tremendously.
We knew it was gonna be conservative, we just didn't know how
Right,
conservative.
right.
It was pretty conservative.
And that's okay. We're gonna be conservative.
Good.
Okay, Matt Lawn, our financial consultant, is gonna give a brief financial status update. And before he does that, and we get into the meat of what we're doing tonight, I just want to review a little bit some of our goals from last year. And these are some of the goals that the council had. Some of the larger things, we're not drilling down into the weeds today, but we did increase the funding for parks. That was accomplished this year. We added a part-time service clerk. We added a new patrol officer. The patrol car that was budgeted for last year, they're still working on getting it. There's been some delays. And our street improvements, we're putting those on hold. They will be completed this year. We just don't wanna add to the mess of what's going on down there. There's enough traffic on the side streets. We don't wanna add any more construction while that's going on.
And we're good to leave this smarter direction, Thomas. I agree we should not add it, but the street is in okay condition enough to be able to drive on it and not have issues in the intro.
Yeah, so if you'll remember, in 24, we redid Sioux
Yeah.
and some of these other side streets in anticipation of the construction and handling that additional traffic. So,
I just wanted to
streets are in
be
good
clear,
shape, yeah.
In public, but yes, correct,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
So what I prepared here is a forecast for the budget year upcoming. And so I didn't cover all of your funds. I covered the funds that I thought we were gonna draw for capital uses and the general fund because the general fund's king. My philosophy, and you know, most folks who do budgeting kind of have the same idea, especially if they're, you know, we're not a big city, we're a small city. We do the whole budget at once. We're not, you know, a big government that has multiple departments, multiple budget analysts that all cover everything. We're doing it all at once. My philosophy is, we know we need to spend our capital dollars. You guys passed a tax for a specific purpose, which was to improve your infrastructure. So before we can figure out what we're gonna do with our operating budget, I think it's best to look at our capital needs first. And that's what we always do, the capital budget first. We set the priorities for what you wanna do for the year, and we use that, once you get that figured out, then we can better budget for our operations. Which, you know, and sometimes there are, you know, opportunities, with capital that will change what your, you know, operational costs are gonna be, so we like to get that all figured out first before we start digging into the weeds on that other stuff. So first of all, these are, essentially what this is we're taking a look at beginning of the year fund balances, or, some of these are beginning of the year fund balances, some are just kind of like, like that Parks and Rec fund balance there. That's going to, sort of include a transfer that basically is gonna take place during the first and second quarter financials, that is going to bring that up to, the level where we anticipated it being for the type of project we want to do going forward. And so essentially, you know, we've got what we anticipate our beginning is gonna be, what our anticipated revenues and expenses are gonna be, and those are pretty much just budget numbers at this point, with the exception of the The revenue that I put there in, for special parks and rec, that is actually what about 2 mills is, and that's what was budgeted to transfer into the special parks and rec fund. So technically, yeah, it's still a revenue, but I just wanted to point that out, because I know parks projects are gonna be high priority. And again, you know, with the water and sewer, here, on the expense side for that water and gas reserve expense, those are sort of known costs to date, plus other things we know are gonna be done throughout the year, at least to our best estimate. So my point is that forecast you have there on the backside, that is kind of what we're forecasting our year ending to be for those funds, which means within those numbers there are where we're going to pull what we spend on the capital projects. So that's why I wanted to show you these funds in particular. And if you look at the forecast for general fund, which is, you know, about $500,000, that is right at about a 30 or a 90-day operating balance, which is a very good budget or, you know, way to start the year. Because, you know, worst case scenario, you can operate for 3 months. You're gonna get your first big chunk of property back in January. You're gonna get, you know, your first 3 big sales tax distributions during that period as well. So you're more than healthy to start out the year with that fund balance. And so these other funds, you know, you got very good fund balance. We're anticipating a very good fund balance in equipment reserve. Now, again, there's gonna be other expenses for equipment reserve. We just don't know exactly what those are yet. But you've got a lot of room there with those reserves, and especially that capital improvement fund and your parks and rec fund to do some good projects in the upcoming budget year.
So we don't have anything slated for sewer changes, okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be this would definitely be an opportunity with this type of workshop to talk about that kind of thing if you were farther along in that process, for sure. Because that's, I don't know exactly how that's gonna look yet. I don't think in your administrative side knows exactly what all is gonna be needed for the types of improvements you're gonna need to make in the coming years, but that's gonna be a much larger scale discussion, for sure. Any questions about anything else?
Any questions for Matt?
Thank you.
Okay, just to review a little bit, this is our 2024 through 2028 capital improvement plan. If you just glance over this, the items in green are things that have been accomplished through the budget process in past years. The things in blue are items that are still in progress. Now you'll notice Kechi Drive Court Circle, Quivira Court, and Tigua are still in progress. Those are the streets that we're holding off on until the construction is done, so we don't add any more inconvenience to anybody. And of course, Kechi and Oliver intersection project is still in progress. So as we look to 26, things that have been planned for in the past were a replacement police car, street projects for Anderson, Matson, and Baird, Sunnydale Court, and that's it for next year. And these are on our department head's long-term plan type lists. So we stay current with what we have. Any questions there?
Can you remind me what the sewer infrastructure improvements, priority 2 and 3 were?
Those were for-
Was that like a whole plan that we talked about and all that?
Yeah, and Thomas could elaborate a little more on that, but we don't have any, I mean, we have numbers in there, but there's no anticipated dates to fund those. Those are things that, recommendations that PEC
Yeah.
had made, but we just finished the sewer relining, so we're good with that, and we're really in pretty good shape, so, yeah.
So we don't have any that like would need to come up in the next 3 years that are gonna become a priority 1, that we should really keep an eye on?
Not from current infrastructure, so nothing.
I mean, I know long-term we have an issue and all that, but I'm talking like damage or issue, like
Yeah,
maintenance
Maintenance,
issues
yeah.
that we need
Those
to make
priorities
sure
are-
we budget more money.
yeah, those priorities are usually based on the age of the system throughout town, because you know in the future,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to do maintenance departments to maintain those, but any future infrastructure expansion is a whole nother topic, as far as funding that, so.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep, no, good question. Anything else? Okay, Public Works, each budget cycle, I put out to our department heads, I say, give me a wish list. And the wish list is, if we lived in a perfect world, and we had all the money that we needed to do whatever we wanted, right now, what do you need? Or what would your department need? And then we take that and then we look into the future a little bit as well. So they submit these perfect world wish lists to me. Just because they are on this list, let me remind you, it doesn't mean that we're doing them. It all depends on our budget constraints, and we don't have our final budget numbers or know what our revenues will be for next year until in June when we get the numbers from the county, okay? So that's when we can start putting the pieces together, but these are things that the departments know that they will need either now or in the near future, and that's what we use as a planning tool for them. So for Public Works, they do need to replace a truck. They need more employees, either an employee or employees, plural. Looking at a new building to store equipment. They're simply running out of space over here to store equipment. And we need to start planning for a new Public Works facility, because as the city grows, we're outgrowing that facility. So we need to plan for that, because that is a big ticket item and nothing we can just do in 1 year. We need to start planning for that. Police department, just equipment and people, a new patrol vehicle and a new patrol officer, and administration. The things we identified up here, we need to upgrade the LED billboard out front. It's antiquated. I don't even know if we can talk to it
We can't even get
anymore.
onto it anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
stuck.
it communicates from a radio wave device in the building here, and they have to like strategically point it at the board to get the information to transfer, and I think it just quit. So, what's out there is gonna be out there until we get it fixed or turn it off. So, but, that sign was put in probably 15 years ago, I think, Chris, wasn't it?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, a long
I
time
think
ago.
Thomas was it, maybe
About 10 years
10,
ago.
okay.
Yeah, it was put in about 14 or 15, 2014 or 15.
We weren't exactly sure. So, your technology lasts 3, maybe 4 years, so we're well overdue for that. Pay plan adjustments, we know that we haven't done any adjustments to our pay plan for several years. We had a pay study done about 5 years ago for the city, and there haven't been any significant increases to the overall plan. There have been in certain departments, but the overall plan, so we need to look at that, we need to make adjustments, and then bring some of those numbers back to you. And last year, we hired the part-time clerk and told council at that time that we would like to move that into a full-time position if the need was there, and the need is definitely there. So that is a valuable position. It's been a great enhancement to our city staff. He answers the phone calls, takes care of people who walk in, and it really allows specifically Debbie and Chris to stay in their office and focus and concentrate on what they're doing without continual interruptions. So it has increased efficiency tremendously. Okay, we'll get back to the budget timeline here in just a minute. So, in front of you, you have some colored notepads. And this is the part where we get the input from council on some of the priorities that you want, kind of some of the marching orders that you want staff to have as we get into the budget process. So we have 3 poster boards, or 4 poster boards behind you. And each one of those, we will go through individually. I'm gonna have you, I will explain what core services is, what community investment is, economic development, and incentives and partnerships. And I just want you as a board to brainstorm. Think about what you have heard from citizens over the past years of their priorities in the community, what you know the needs of the community are, what you have heard out there amongst the people that you talk to. And provide us that information on these sheets, okay? Very big picture, the more the better. There is no wrong answer for you to put up there, okay? This is just a brainstorming session. Once we go through all these, then we'll come back, we'll prioritize them, and through that prioritization process, it will give us what we need to start formulating the budget, plugging numbers into the budget based off your priorities, okay? So please remember, this is a very broad picture. We will bring some of this back to you and ask more details on it about what you want, so we can drill some of this stuff down. Like I said, there's no wrong answer, so put up there whatever you're thinking, whatever you've heard. So we'll start with core services, okay? Core services are think of them as the foundational things that we must do well. The things that if they don't get done, we hear about immediately, okay? So those would be your infrastructure. If there's potholes in the streets, if there's big cracks in the streets, we're gonna hear about it, okay? Public safety, police officers, community safety issues. If there's not enough police officers on the street and crime goes up, we hear about it, okay? These are these things, remember, that if we don't provide, we hear about them in pretty fast order. Internal operations, staffing, wages and benefits, technology, utilities, your water, your sewer, your trash, your gas. If we fall in any of those areas, those are the first we're gonna hear about, and those are the essential services that we have to provide our community, okay? So, not those items specifically, I was just throwing those out there to kind of get the gears turning, and you thinking about some of the needs for the community. So I will give you just a couple minutes here, talk amongst yourselves, and we'll get them put up there on the board. Please remember, as we go through this process, we are not making any decisions. We are only providing information, okay? And as you formulate your ideas, if you would take, this is an important note, write it on the pink sticky note. And then take the pink sticky note and put it on the corresponding poster up there.
We're just in pink, correct?
Just in pink.
For Mother's Day?
Huh?
For Mother's Day, it's coming up?
Hey, yeah.
That reminds me, I need to.
You call your mom, don't you?
No, she just got back from she was at that did a cruise through the Panama Canal,
Oh, wow.
so
Cool.
I'm ready to try to talk to her.
Talking. What's up? Talking. I know. There's a lot of doors actually, so I'm trying to talk it. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
that's
like
okay.
organize things. Like for me, it was a communication.
The core functions of government, what we are here to provide, our city. Infrastructure, street sidewalks, public safety, police, community safety, internal operations, staffing, wages and benefits, technology, utilities, water, sewer, gas, trash.
Chief, with the 2025 budget, do we have 24/7 coverage?
So, yes,
Yeah, I mean, I know if you're fully staffed, and that's a challenge, that's ongoing.
yes, what we don't have is if an officer is away for training, we don't have a position to backfill that. So what this would be is a position of an officer who is fluid in his schedule, to fill vacations, sick days, training days, to fill that, where it's a solid 24. Right now, we still
all that.
All the
Everything
things
that
that
goes
go
with
with
it,
it,
yes.
yes.
I mean, I guess for full transparency, so because they can't see it. What I put down was infrastructure advancement.
Oh, yeah, hold, actually, I'll go through those in a
We
minute.
just
One
said
sec-
put them on the thing.
No, leave them, no, yes, you did exactly right, leave them up there, and I'll go through them, so we
Okay.
know. And just so you know, after the meeting, we will take these, we will put them out in the lobby of City Hall throughout the next week, so anybody who wants to see them can come by and look at them.
I was just trying to.
You're just a step ahead of me.
My bad. I've done mapping conversations, I just wanted to be a part of it.
And it's okay if there's redundancies on there, okay? Totally fine. And you will find that some of these cross over into other areas as well, and that's totally fine too. Okay, next one is community investment. Look at community investment as the things that aren't really required, but they build quality of, yes, orange, but they build quality of life, pride, and long-term value for Kechi residents. Things such as parks, the trails that go through the parks, the playground equipment, sports fields, trees, and landscaping, arts and culture and beautification, gateway signs, public art, landscaping, community garden, events and community engagement such as the fair, parades, and communications from the city. And also it can include support for our civic groups, our art councils, and our fair boards or committees. And this one will be on your orange Post-it notes or sticky notes. And like I said, if things overlap and you want to put the same on several of them, completely fine.
Put it on every single one.
Hey, it makes it a priority. Anywhere is fine, random is totally fine.
I didn't go on my line. Same. A lot of things to be good. I didn't understand.
Okay, move on to economic development, to your left up there. Economic development is your blue Post-it note. These are ways to grow the local economy in a way that benefits the city long-term, okay? Such things would be attracting and recruiting new businesses, both retail, commercial, and industrial, supporting existing businesses with growth. If they want to grow, how can we support them? Marketing the city to investors and developers, streamlining internal processes such as permitting and what it takes to come to Kechi and do business, and development-ready infrastructure, having properties ready for somebody to build on, whether it's infrastructure brought to them or site-ready pads, things, utility expansion that would stimulate or help with growth. Those are just a few ideas, kind of the category of what we're talking about. last category is incentives and partnership. We need to be thinking about making it easy and attractive to do business in Kechi. Something along those lines. So we're talking about maybe offering incentives for economic development, mini grants, tax or utility incentives, working with chambers of commerce to grow businesses, and similar to what we just did with the neighborhood revitalization plan. Also maybe looking at infill type housing grants and beautification incentives, different things along those lines, things that make Kechi attractive and easy to do business in. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Very impressed. I was a little concerned we may not fill up these sheets up here, but I'm very impressed.
None of them make sense.
What
when
I
you
say.
think of
That's
it.
that's okay. There's still ideas, but I think it goes to show that you guys get a lot of input from the community. You know what you're hearing from the citizens out there, and that's the information we need, because you as a council, that's who we work for. We take your vision, the things that you hear from the community, and that's what we try to implement specifically through the budget process, okay? So, final step, grab your pen, just get up and go to each one of these boards and put a tally mark, read through the different ones. A lot of people may have the same thoughts, the same ideas, but put a tally mark on the ones that resonate with you or that you think are of most importance for the city right now. Some of these things are not going to be budget items, but they allow us as staff to take that information and use it for future planning. Maybe it's something that we need to plan for in the future, or something, there may be comments or statements on here or ideas that we need to look at incorporating, in one of our master plans or these updates that we do from time to time. So even though they're not budget items, they're still important to us. So put a note on there, put a tally mark, put anything you want us to know on those little sticky notes. It will take a few minutes to do that.
Oh, wait, she's got a mic. Yeah, start it. So two of us are sort down here. Okay. We can go down this one, because it's big. Do you want
So we
us-
just put like
Hold on.
X on it?
Would it be easier if we just put them together? If they're the same?
Yeah, you can do, if there's the same, yeah, just stick them together.
I
That's a
mean,
good
we can
idea.
still do the tallies, but then
Uh-huh.
at least,
Like there's one that says police patrolling neighborhoods and police 24/7 staffing.
Yeah, put them together, yeah, and then put your tallies on those.
I think they're the same thing, if not tally, if you agree.
I think I would.
Different?
Oh, you know that was?
Yeah.
Or it can go with. That one can go in. That's not right. No, I
I'm not sitting there for a game. We did a tour when I was out there. A while ago, it was like a tour. It was like, here's a beer. Cool thing we did, they got their space museum. It's not, it's getting, cost us some meter, but it's really cool. It's a cool place. You've been to the World War II Museum in Florence? I've been there. We'll take 2 days.
It's cool, take the whole day, there's 3 or 4 hours, and you can walk under and all the doors and P-51, there's streets, parallel. It's absolutely, so it's the home of the Blue Angels too, so they're all, yeah, they're all flying. Practicing. go my hair.
No, it's not file sync we get.
50,000 miles.
It's a little bit less.
Over half of it.
Yeah.
That's our goal. Go shores, but like I said,
We as staff, we will go through these in the essence of time and moving the meeting forward. We will go through these tomorrow and through the first of the week. We will tally them. We will come up with a priority list. We will send it to, or we will bring it back to council. But prior to that, we will put it out on Facebook and the website for everybody to see as well. Like I said, these charts, we'll take these off the wall, we'll put them out in the hall, in City Hall here, so if anybody wants to come by and look at them during the week, they're welcome to. And the results of these will be up on both Facebook and the city website this coming week. So we will take this information, digest it, it will help us formulate the budget, and then we will bring it back to you in more specific details in some of the future budget workshops that we have. So one final thing I wanna add before we go into the timeline here is we as staff are going into this budget process with the assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, that we want to maintain a flat mill levy. We do not want to increase it. Is that a correct assumption?
That's a correct
Okay,
assumption.
I've not spoke to anybody, but that is my assumption. So as we go into this, we will start trying to formulate the budget based on a flat mill levy of 36.667, just as we had last year and previous years. We will wait for the figures to come in from the county in June. At that point, we will have a better idea and a better picture of if we can do that, if we need to raise it, or what we need to do. So, until then, we just won't know exactly, but those are assumptions going in, and we will make that our target as we take these priorities and start formulating the budget, okay? Any questions? Okay. Last thing is the budget timeline. We've already posted this on the city website for anybody who's interested in it. It was distributed at the last council meeting too. No changes to it. Like I said, this is a tentative budget calendar, always subject to having the ability to have a meeting. If we have people who are gone or sick and aren't able to have a quorum, of course, it will adjust the schedule a little bit, but we need a budget calendar to keep us on track. We would like to get everything done early this year in case there's anything that come up, and it will provide more time for discussion with the council and the community, okay? Anything you would like to see added to this or taken away from it? Okay, good, all right.
Alright. Moving on to item 7B, acceptance of Turtle Creek subdivision petitions. Thanks, Jeff, for being patient with us.
No problem.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. These are petitions from the developer of the Turtle Creek addition to start installing the streets, the water, and the sewer infrastructure. And I think I will let Andrew pick up on this a little bit and explain it, because he is much better at explaining this legal, procedural stuff than I am. So, Andrew, if you don't mind.
Thank you. So, this is the first, and forgive my voice today too, but this is the first step in the process where the city installs its public infrastructure into new developments. And so, the developer, PG Development, owns the property that just a few meetings ago we platted as the Turtle Creek subdivision. And you will remember in that plat, you will have seen the streets that are designed for there. Well, of course, there are also need to be drainage improvements, like stormwater drainage improvements to go along with those streets, and then the water and the sewer infrastructure that has to go in to serve both the commercial and all the residential units that are gonna go into that development. Well, those are public city infrastructure improvements. And so the method by which those get constructed and installed and paid for is a city process, and this is the very first step of that. So the developer has submitted petitions to the city, asking for the city to install those basically four improvements, the street drainage, the water, and the sewer lines. Their engineer has put together estimates of what they believe that will cost, which is the numbers that you would have seen in in those petitions. Then they've also submitted on a form that the city has a developer's agreement that kind of makes some agreements as to how we go about this process. But what's in front of you now, and I'm going to take all the next 4 items on the agenda all at once, but we can ask questions as we get through them. If the city accepts those petitions and approves that developer's agreement, then the next step is passing what's called the resolution of advisability. And it's the resolution in your packet that says, okay, here are the improvements that we think are necessary to install here. This is the estimated cost. This is how the costs are going to be assessed to the property, so I haven't gotten there yet, but these costs ultimately get assessed to the owners of the property. They don't get paid out of the city's general fund, for example. And then if you pass that resolution of advisability, it gets recorded on the property, and then you pass an ordinance, which we call the work ordinance, because it's actually authorizing the city to start moving forward with those improvements, which means we will start the process of really twofold. One, we'll get with Piper Sandler, who helps like the financial advisory on the borrowing of the bonds. We're of course your bond counsel, but we work together and we start the process of issuing temporary notes, which is the temporary construction financing for these. And then we'll work with PDC to get the bidding process started. So the city will actually bid out these projects. The city will be the one that hires the contractor to do them. There will be, hand-in-hand work with the developers, engineers, but the city's engineers will be sure that all the designs are up to the city specs and they're happy with those too. And ultimately, as I mentioned, these will be city streets and water and sewer improvements. At the next meeting, this is all goes forward, you'll see a resolution that authorizes us as your bond counsel and Piper Sandler to start the temporary note process. That will take 60-ish days. We'll have a public sale, just like you would for temporary notes that we did last year for this project out here. And you'll ultimately sell those in the amount necessary to cover the estimated costs of these. You'll use those funds, they'll go put into a project fund, you'll use those funds to hire the contractor that won the bid and install those improvements. Once they're completely installed, you know exactly how much you spent on it, then we'll start the process of going through permanent bond financing. So, temporary notes are temporary because they're really only intended to be out for 2 or 3 years, whatever's necessary for the construction period. So we refinance those once everything is done with the permanent bonds that will go outstanding. And at that time, since we will know everything down to the penny, we will special assess every lot's share of those costs out for the next, 15, 20 years, however long that bond goes out. Those will be special assessments on those properties. They'll be collected by the county just like their property taxes. If the owner of any portion of that doesn't pay those special assessments, then the city or the county forecloses on that property in tax foreclosure, just as if you didn't pay your property taxes, and ultimately that's how you would recover in that hopefully unlikely event. I know I went through that all kind of really fast, but I want to give you some context for where we are today, which is the very beginning of that process. So I'll pause there if you have any questions.
I mean, you already answered mine of what happens if they don't pay,
There you
so.
go.
But like,
And in the interim,
Mhm.
while this is being developed, the developer gives the city a letter of credit for 35% of the total of the project cost as additional protection that while things are being developed and, some of the residential lots may be sold off to other people, the developer may keep some of these properties, particularly I think the commercial ones in front. And so while that development is happening, there is a letter of credit that if something were to go wrong, the city would be able to draw on to cover some of those costs.
That was my next question, so you already answered it.
Assume this is I know this is the standard process for creating special assessments.
It is the most common method, this is what I do day in and day out, and I can tell you, probably 90% of development in this area of the state is done this way. All 3 phases of Young Industrial was done this way, all 3 phases of Rock Point was done this way, and Kechi Business Park was done this way. So it's been I think Kechi Business Park was the last one we did in 2021, so it has been a few years since we've done it, but yeah, I think the city has done this for every development for at least the past 15 years that I'm aware of, but very common.
Is there any downsides to us doing this or being a part of it, other than just, having to do paperwork?
Not really. I mean, this keeps, it ensures that those improvements are all city infrastructure. It's built up to city standards. It's under city control. Could you say there's a little bit of a benefit to a developer through this? Sure, because the city's gonna borrow money at a lower cost than if they try to install it themselves. But ultimately, this is such a common practice that usually gets passed on to the ultimate purchaser of the land and improvements, yeah.
So is there anything unique to this particular project with, in relation to it's a combination of residential and commercial development?
Not that changes this process at all.
Okay.
Any further discussion? I would entertain a motion if we're ready.
So there are 4 separate motions, Madam Mayor.
Is it on the last page?
Yep, on the last page. And that just takes care of all of these at one time rather than having separate agenda items. Puts them in order and we just packaged them in one.
So just read them all.
No, do them one at a
Do
time.
'em one
Vote
at a
one
time.
at a time,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
One through one.
so I take a motion for item 1. Second.
I move to accept the 3 petitions for the Turtle Creek improvements necessary to serve Turtle Creek subdivision.
Second?
We have a motion by Todd, second by Matt. All in favor say aye. Carries 4-0. Move on to item 2.
I move we accept developer's agreement for Turtle Creek subdivision with PG Development LLC and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion by Matt, second by Karen. All in favor say aye. Carries 4-0. Motion 3.
I move that we adopt resolution number 25-782, determining the advisability of making Turtle Creek improvements in Turtle Creek subdivision.
Second.
I have a motion by Matt, second by Todd. All in favor say aye. Carries 4-0. And item 4.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 1848-25, authorizing the construction of Turtle Creek improvements in Turtle Creek subdivision.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Matt, second by Karen. All in favor say aye. Carries 4-0. Thank you. So that was all 3 of those, so I don't, do I need to go to developer agreement? Or did I just do them all?
You got them all?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got 'em.
Well, it was just B, C, and D, so
Oh.
on the agenda, so I don't know if I need
No,
to go back.
they're all, yep, you got them all done.
Alright, awesome, thank you. Moving on to item 8, old business, we have no old business. Moving on to item 9, council reports. Does any council member have a council report? Other than myself? I do, thank you. Alright, so my council report's small. Now that some of our groups have been going to every other month meetings, that actually spread out some of my meetings, so that works out a little bit in my favor. So, I helped volunteer at the Easter egg scrambler at the park on April 12th. And on April 17th, we had a fair committee meeting. We discussed the Easter egg hunt and also the citywide garage sale. And I'll get to that announcement in a few minutes. Items that I worked on this month, I attended multiple council meetings for the Child Abuse Prevention Month, spreading that importance to other cities and talking about how we did it for our city. I sent checks, invoices, discussed Facebook posts, intersection project discussion of the council meetings and agendas, discussion on public safety, discussion with groups that we're in, met with city administrator multiple times, talked to city staff, worked with civic groups on different projects. So my announcements are more lengthy this month. So Kechi's citywide garage sales will be the second Saturday in June, and for those who don't know, that's June 14th. The forms will be up here at City Hall. You can drop off the cash or mail them. It has the address for our PO box on there as well. We will only be taking cash or checks. We do not accept any online card payments. It is $10. The money that we receive from the garage sale funds will go towards different events that we hold, lamp postings that we can have, our mailbox, so we can have a mailbox, on that form, you'll put your name and address legibly, because I have to put it on a map, and they will be available up here at City Hall, but also we'll post it online, and we're gonna try to get it out to businesses, to have out, to be able to give out on day of. if you're interested in having a map or interested in helping with anything with the fair, we take volunteers anytime. We meet on the third Thursday at 7 p.m. normally in the community room. If we're not there and you see no lights, check over at the old city hall. We're over there most likely. Or reach out to us on our Facebook page at the Kechi Fair. The next Coffee and Community will be on May 3rd at Kechi City Park from 8:30 to 9:30. I know I will be there. Karen you said you're planning on being there.
Yes.
So we could have one other council member. I don't know if Kendra or who else wanted to attend, but we can work that out sometime soon. And then again, another call out for the Arts Council to drop off your supplies here for the Wichita Children's Home. Again, they're accepting them until April 30th. All right, that's my report. Trying to make it quick. All right, moving on to staff reports. Public Works. Hi, Thomas.
Hello. I'll try to make it quick. Been extremely busy lately, with the summer weather, the warmer weather coming in. Lots of training. 3 of us at Public Works had to attend KWRA to get our certification hours, to keep our water certifications. Me, Jason, and Vern attended those, so I left Earl here in the city by himself, trying to keep everything going with the day-to-day. During that time, we had over 200 locates called in for various things. Anything from Hillside being worked on. We also get the locates for Bel Air. Anything they're having done over there with our utilities in the area. AT&T kind of dropped the ball. Didn't send us any plans or let us know they're going to be in Prairie Creek. Called in 33 locates in one day to do all the Prairie Creek main services, water, gas, and sewer. Earl got to do pretty much all of those over the last week and a half. So you get 2 days to do those. Unfortunately, I had to call 811 and tell them, hey, that's not going to happen in this small town. I called AT&T. They weren't too happy with me. I got to talk with the vice president of the region. They will be doing fiber optic on the west side over here off of Sioux. So I told them it was a great time to do it while we're having a downtown project for streets. Supposedly it wasn't going to start till June 16th. Their guy called me today and wants to know if they can start earlier. Not sure if I want to allow that or not, but we'll see. We had a meeting. We had a gas hit line mock drill in Mount Ridge. All of Public Works attended. Chris, Debbie, and Matt got to experience kind of what it's like on an actual gas hit line with emergency responders, fire department, police. What it's like to go door to door and kind of evacuate. And it's not as chaotic because it's just air coming through there and not actual gas and people losing their minds. So that was great to get everybody there. Had a KDHE water audit, had KDHE in here going over our files and our test results for the last 3 years. I did get back that information. I know on here it said I was waiting. I did get that information back. We didn't have any violations. Any major violations, we did kind of have some. We did have one form that was missing, kind of out of our control. It's been taken care of. I had dump day. That was an experience. It was just me and Earl. So I had one guy get married and one guy who was down, injured right now. So that was a me and Earl show. That's not something that I would suggest any town or Public Works tries to do by themselves. That was 4 hours of chaos. I don't think Earl left the backhoe. I filled 7 30-yard dumpsters basically by myself. So still sore. I don't know if I'm going to recoup from it or not. There was probably between 200 to 300 loads of brush dumped off too. So that pile grew quite large really fast. But yeah, other than that, attended the K254 meeting, we graded dirt roads, have hauled some sand and stuff out there on those dirt roads. Just been quite busy, so.
Thomas, I have a question. Last year, was it the the contractor with AT&T that did the damage to the water line coming into town? Was that AT&T last year?
That was another contractor for AT&T, yes.
Another contractor.
And that was for moving for the downtown project.
Yeah,
That was
okay, that was for the
anticipated.
downtown project that they hit that.
Yeah.
And then it was about the same time they hit a gas line in Northwoods, right?
Yes, so that was part of this project now, so they replaced all those fiber optic in Northwoods last year. Now they're replacing Prairie Creek, and then they'll hop over and do this addition over here off of Sioux, Comanche, and Shawnee. I don't know how long before they'll be in Tomahawk and Arrowhead, so,
And so they didn't notify us that they were gonna be in Prairie Creek.
no.
So I'm just,
Advertising at 7:20.
I'm sorry,
They just knocked on our door, we're the first house, and that's,
you're the
that's
first
all
house.
the heads up the city had.
So my question, I guess for Matt, Andrew, is, you know, what repercussions are there, I mean, for, where do we stand with it? I'm sure they had insurance, they had an insurance claim with the water main break and with the Northwoods, where they hit the gas line. I would assume the insurance of the contractor covered that cost. Kind of educate me on what we can do as a city.
We've got franchise agreements with those utility companies that utilize the rights of way anyway.
Yeah.
And those say that if they cause any damage, they're responsible for it. So I don't know, I don't recall exactly what happened with that, but they ought to have taken care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that on that particular incident, I had to figure out how many gallons of water was lost, and I
Yeah.
believe this was submitted back to them, how many hours we actually worked and what it costed us to fix it, so. Typically, I know with our franchise agreement, they're supposed to submit all plans to the public works director before they come into town and notify us that they're coming to town. So that was a conversation I had with the regional vice president. He thought it was with the franchise agreement being outdated, and it wasn't. It was with the context of the franchise agreement, you know, and not submitting those plans ahead of time. He was afraid that I was going to run the company out of town, and most of that contractor is from Texas. So it was subcontracted, and those guys did not wanna go back home. So, tried to work with them as best as I can.
No, you guys are
Some of
doing
those
great. My
things, so.
frustration is with AT&T and the inconvenience they're causing residents, you know, I just don't know,
Right.
Andrew, what.
Yeah, and those are tough.
I mean, they have the rights to install in the
In the,
in the utility
Right.
infrastructure. It's just a matter of everything's gotta be approved by the city.
Right.
You know, the plans all have to be approved, they're responsible for it, and if they follow the rules, then they're entitled to utilize our rights of way.
I guess.
if they follow the rules.
Yeah, and,
What happens if they
and,
don't?
Then we can tell, well, it depends on what it
That's
is.
where I'm
If they
going.
break something, they're responsible for the dollar
Sure.
amount.
Yeah,
If they don't follow the rules, we have the right to say, follow the rules before you put a spade in the ground.
yeah.
and the challenge for us as a city, we are not the only city who deals with this, is those other companies, they have so much turnover that, you know, the new people coming in don't know about these franchise agreements, so, you know, there's no perfect system.
No.
And we try to, specifically Public Works tries to keep an eye on that stuff as much as we can, and a lot of times, the first that we hear about it is through the public calling up here saying, hey, why are you as a city digging in my backyard? We're like, we're not digging in your backyard. So then we have to go and figure it out, and then, you know, we try to resolve the issue just like Thomas did by calling AT&T and say, hold on, guys,
Yeah.
there's certain things you have to do, and it's just not a good system. It's really tough to manage, and really it's nobody's fault, because, you know, there's so much turnover through organizations that the new people just don't know what's going on, or haven't been trained, or whatever it may be, so just kind of a continual education piece, and we've talked internally about putting things on our website about if you're a contractor coming into town, this is what you need to do. Now, are they gonna come to our website and look? Probably not, but all we can do is put the information out there, we can't spoon feed it.
Ultimately, I mean, we do have the right to put the hammer down if they just,
Sure.
you know, if something like that happens and we say, no, you have to abide by these rules, and they refuse, then we can tell them no. But, you know, for the most part, when they wanna come in and do work and they mobilize people up here, I'm sure Thomas wants to be reasonable about making sure they can do their job.
Yeah, because I mean, in the long run, they are providing
Yeah.
a service.
Yeah, they are
to
providing a
residents.
service. I'm just thinking back to the water.
They are trying to increase your internet speeds and things of that nature.
Oh, I agree completely. I'm just thinking back to the water issue, the strain that put on our public works department, when we have so much else going on as well. just that added piece. It's more than just the cost of fixing it, it's, I mean, how many hours were you guys out there?
Oh, well.
Straight,
About 18.
yeah, about 18 hours straight.
So if you figure 200 locates, you figure about an hour for each locate, and that's just, you know, a normal locate. You drive out, you might locate a backyard, but when you're talking about something like that, I mean, Jason was out there and trying to flag as much as he could with the one arm he did have, you know, and so, and like, you know, you try to put them on there as much as you can, but
Yeah.
they're there, and the good thing for us was, the reason why we have them come in like that is, since we have our own gas system, we require them wherever they cross us to dig it up so we can see it.
Yeah.
That way, if they do hit it, we will know immediately, we don't have to worry about them burying it, and then later on that night, we get a call. The bad thing to that is that since we do require that, we have to fill out a bell hole report for every time they cross us.
And going back to your point, Andrew, as far as putting the hammer down, it's like, well, at some point in time, I mean, I'm glad you talked to the vice president, I don't know what that got us, but.
Well, it got us about 5 different people's phone numbers, so they're required to submit those to us every time
Call
they
them
change
in.
over too, but I don't think they knew that either, so we do have 5 new phone numbers to call in case we have anything like this happen again, so.
I mean, do you think I'm being unreasonable with my frustration there?
No, absolutely. It's the same frustration we share. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it takes away Thomas from what they should be doing
Yes.
to address an issue that shouldn't have never been an issue in the first place. It should have been addressed in advance, and that's not the right thing to do on their part.
Right.
And then you guys flag for 18 hours straight, you gotta get up the next day and work, and you're on equipment, and we want you to be safe. So, I guess that's where,
Yeah.
these kinds of things are the things that really frustrate me and get me riled up, but,
You're not alone.
okay. All right. I'm very, very calm, quiet, till.
I don't think I've seen you this,
It's done.
in a while,
I'm a little weird about this.
Well, I mean, the hitting of the gas line in Northwoods, that was a dangerous thing. You know, your guys working 18 hours straight and then getting on a backhoe the next day and working and being safe. Those are the types of things that, as a city, we've got to, not only, we've got to protect our employees.
Sure.
So, we've got to protect our residents and our employees.
Safety is number one on both sides, you're right.
Thomas,
Yes,
follow up from Tuesday's meeting, did the citizen get the signs moved, relocated?
I didn't look today. I don't know if they did or
No,
not.
they haven't.
As of yesterday, they had not. I'll check tomorrow.
Hopefully that will improve things.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
all right, thanks.
One more thing on that real quick.
So riled up. Yes.
Andrew,
I
help
thought
me
you
out
were
on
joking.
this. Would it be inappropriate for the mayor to contact any of those people to let them know that,
Don't think it-
or what would be, how do we put the hammer down, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, I mean, I think you have the conversation with them about this next time we're not, you know, this time you got guys here and we're trying to be accommodating, but next time we have to have whatever the necessary amount of notice under the franchise agreement is. Or we will send everybody home. That's how you gotta handle it.
Okay.
I guess we could ask them for a corrective action plan, that they put in place.
That's
Sure, they put in place
Yeah.
Right.
to keep this from happening again.
excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I feel much better now that you said that.
Chief, please come up here so he can get riled up about something else.
I'm scared now.
At least he's not mad at you. Yet.
For us, you know, the change in traffic flow has been a thorn in our side, and as well as everybody else's. We're sitting off there as much as we can while still trying to maintain a patrol schedule and meet the needs of all of Kechi, not just Kechi proper. So there's times we're out of the neighborhoods and up north and we miss some things, but you know, they're running stop signs, they're doing stuff, we're writing the tickets. We've got a pretty thick docket coming up next month if people don't pay their fines. We're doing what we can with it. So, you know, in change of traffic, measures have to be put in place. So, May 9th, tentative for moving the park. I say tentative, we got a couple of moving parts we gotta nail down. One of our officers is away on paternity leave, so congratulations to Officer Bolden.
Yeah.
We'll see him back here in a few weeks probably. We're letting him take the time that he needs to get the family comfortable, but, congratulations to him. So, making up those gaps there with training as well. We're out a lot for training right now, springtime. It's just a busy time of the year for us. So Officer Allen is getting firearms instructor certified right now. He'll be back, this next week, and then, I continue with my 300-hour command school that I'm attending in Kansas City. Requires me to be gone 2 days a month to be up there to train, which is where I got back from today. So working through that. Let's see, April 26th, Coffee with a Cop, 10 a.m. to noon. We'll have some officers for that. I will not be able to attend. I'll be on vacation this weekend, headed down south. So, but they're all in the know of what we're doing and the direction we're headed, so they'll be able to answer questions that any community may have.
Where's that at, Chief?
Yeah, I think it's over here in the community room, yes. Patrol cars continue to be an issue. This is a repetitive thing. 18 went down yet again, had to have a fuel pump put in it. At present, that's my only operating patrol car right now with, Alan being out of state for training. 18 is our car that we have here, 20 is in the shop getting repaired, and then I have my patrol car. So we're doing the best we can with what we got. We'll get through it. We had to shift gears, pun intended, on the patrol truck. Ford still has not put the truck we ordered into production. It's just a invoice at this time. So I got with Serve, spoke with Andy. Andy has always been very responsive to our needs and getting things done. He had a Chevrolet pickup on his lot, not spoken for. So we opted for that instead of Ford. So it'll be getting updated and should be in our hands within about 3 weeks from now, maybe 2 weeks if we're lucky. So that'll help alleviate some of the pressure there. I attended the Kansas Threats Working Group in Topeka. This is an ongoing meeting that we have every quarter with KDI, Department of Justice, and Department of Defense. In this meeting, we discussed specifically Operation Take Back America and what that means for our communities. Operation Take Back America is an initiative, as we all know, by the current administration to take care of illegal immigration and things happening with that. How it affected us was Operation Safe Neighborhoods was already in effect when Take Back America became a thing. Safe Neighborhoods was focused strictly on Garden City and Wichita, as far as immigration enforcement goes, and different ways to try to curb cartel activity and other things like that. Operation Take Back America encompasses all of that, so they made it for not just Wichita and Garden City, but now the state of Kansas. ICE, and more specifically Department of Homeland Security, has been working with us local communities and getting us the different things that we may need to work with them and become essentially a TFO or task force officer training. They're offering that program right now. I don't know if there'll be any incentives that come with that. We're still kind of hanging back on that to see what all that's going to look like. Some different training programs and stuff that would allow us to look at immigration enforcement should we get a traffic stop that flags somebody as a potential terrorist or threat. As it currently is, if we pull somebody over and they pop up on a watch list, we cannot specifically enforce that. The only people that can specifically enforce that is federal agencies such as DHS. They can give us an order to detain and hold, and we have to sit there for 2-3 hours until somebody gets there, or we have this TFO option, task force officer option, which would allow us to go ahead and detain and transport to Second County, and they hold them for ICE or DHS. So it's a messy situation right now. They're trying to get some things unfolded, ironed out. I'll let you know where we fall on that, probably on the next quarter when I go up to Topeka, have that meeting again with KBI and everybody. So, opioid summit also took place. I was able to get that on Zoom instead of having to go to Kansas City again, which was great. We just discussed different avenues to help fight the opioid pandemic epidemic that we're fighting here in America. It's off the charts. I mean, it's awful. It's everywhere. Kechi's not immune to that, as we know, so working on that. As you see in the news, we had a seizure, almost $4,000 in cash, stolen firearms, narcotics, and was juvenile on top of that. So, rolling through our neighborhoods. Our guys are proactive, we're looking for it, we're trying to find it, and we're finding it. It's out there. So right now my office, smells like a certain store in Oklahoma right now. It's awful. It's terrible in there, but almost every other traffic stop we're pulling narcotics of some kind. And, that's what happens when you're a community, edged up next to other communities, things like casinos and stuff like that around us. We're a passive town. I mean, we're gonna have those problems. So we're gonna continue to work on that. Let's see. On a high note, community policing is picking up. So, moving the park, those kind of things. You're gonna see more of that. Still working on a car show, option for us. Got some officers looking into the details of that. That's all gonna help raise money for our community policing program. The seizure of this cash, if it gets, turned over to us after the court proceedings and stuff are done, that'll also, roll into probably our community policing, the opioid fight. You know, we're fighting as best we can. We've got one business shut down that was dealing, and we're gonna continue rolling on that. If you're dealing drugs and messing around in Kechi, we're gonna find you. We're gonna make an example out of you. We're gonna make work out of it. That's just what we gotta do. So, Operation Impact also plays a part in this. We're hosting that May 7th. It's where the local communities get together and, we discuss, our law enforcement agencies. We discuss the stuff that we're seeing in our communities. We talk about measures that we are taking as a whole to improve communities, make traffic safer. DOT helps sponsor that, so they pay for our lunches and stuff. We have a lot of cops in town and have a big think tank going and try to get some better things rolling, so that's where we're at. Any questions?
Yes. Take Back America, is that a required thing that the state makes us do, or is that something we're opting into?
Take Back America?
Yeah.
That is nothing we have anything to do with other than the Department of Justice is doing it, and we may come across, people with warrants and people that are flagging NCIC. It's the option that we are looking at is there any incentive to becoming a task force partner in these? In the past, they have provided patrol cars. They bought brand new patrol vehicles for agencies that are participating in that. Most of those were down on the borders, Texas and such. As for now, we're just staying neutral on it, seeing how it's all going to unfold and go from there.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our planning and zoning administrator is under the weather, so not able to be here, but you have his report in your packet there. Few things, there are 2 cases to hear at the May 8th meeting, a conditional use for a large garage / shed, and a rezoning case. Stormwater, he wants to stress the only rain down the drain. No grass, no leaves, mulch, debris, or anything left in the street is to be put down the drains. So only water. And no updates on code enforcement at this time. Our code enforcement will start ramping up as the weather gets warm and allows us to get out and look at things a little different. We will continue to take the same stance that we did last year, where we try to communicate with people to try to get the issue resolved, and issuing citations or citing people into court is an absolute last resort. Our goal with code enforcement is to get compliance, to get things cleaned up or safety issues taken care of, and not to just go out and start writing tickets. So. From administration, I don't have a lot to add. I will just follow up on a couple things. I do want to thank Thomas and his guys, the Public Works. They've been busy with specifically all the locates that they've had, and being short of help with people out on vacations or sick or whatever it may be. With a small staff, that makes a huge impact, just having one person gone. The brush dump, hats off to those guys. I know there were only 2 of them because of staffing issues, and they worked their tails off down there, and we really appreciate it. We know that that is a vitally important service to our community, to allow people to get up there and dump that extra refuge that they have around their house, which all goes back to tying into code enforcement. If we don't have those resources, then we have more code enforcement violations of people trash or dilapidated things on the outsides of their house, especially in the summer when we have windstorms come through and they blow down branches or whatever. A community that has those resources oftentimes has a lot lower code compliance citation rate. So I do thank Thomas and his guys for doing that. It's a vital service for the city. I want to thank PD too. Police department has been super busy as well. We all know the traffic, getting everybody adjusted to get around the intersection project. Just late today, KDOT put out an abbreviated detour route, which gets rid of people going to 69th Street, which will help us out tremendously because with all that traffic going on a dirt road, it is a maintenance nightmare. The township currently grades that section of the road. They came to us and they're like, hold on, this is maybe more than we can handle. So changing that route and getting people off 69th, pushing them up to 77th and down to 53rd will help a lot, I believe. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the speakers.
I touched it with my shoe.
So I haven't even looked at the map yet, but we will get that posted tomorrow for people. To piggyback on that, we have signs ordered for our local streets to help people get around the side streets. Directional type signs, additional signage for roads closed, to help people get to the area businesses. Those are in production right now, so hopefully we'll have them in maybe next week or the week after that, but it does take some time for turnaround on those. So as we work our way through this process, I mean, it's a work in progress. So there's always something that comes up and we try to address it the best we can. We completely understand that it's an inconvenience for the people that live here. It's an inconvenience for us, and we want to try to make it as easy for everybody as we can. We know it's an inconvenience. Progress is painful sometimes, but the end result is going to be very, very nice and really improve traffic flow and safety through the city. I don't think I have anything else. Chief commented about his patrol cars. Patrol cars are the #1 issue in police departments. You don't drive them to take care of them. The environments that you drive those things in are pretty severe. You know, a lot of hard braking, hard acceleration, hard turning, dirt roads, ditches, where the bad guy goes, you follow, sort of thing. So they're beat up. They are a #1 priority in a police department. That's what gets the police department to where they need to be in an emergency. So a lot of times people will say, you know, why are there so many patrol cars? Well, that's why, because they break down all the time, sometimes daily. So you have to have extra ones ready to go to make sure people are safe. One last thing, Kendra talked to me the other day. We did have one call up here at City Hall about Wichita water rebates. This year in late February, the Wichita City Council issued or made a variance for wholesale water customers. They earmarked $30,000 where people could take advantage of the water, its conservation efforts, high efficiency shower heads, appliances, rain barrels, different things like that. It's kind of an arduous process to get through, to get those rebates. So the way it works with wholesale customers is the first step is the council approving the rebate program. Once that is done, then if approved, the citizens would submit the rebate form to Kechi. We would make sure that it meets the requirements of the items to be rebated. We send it to Wichita. Wichita reviews it. Wichita credits our wholesale account. Wichita then notifies us that they have approved it, and then we, as a city, would provide a credit to that customer's utility account. Now, with that, we don't know if our system can do rebates. So Chris has been looking into that to see if it's something we can do and how it would work. Currently, of all the wholesale customers, Bel Air and Derby are the only two that take advantage of that water credit program, according to Wichita. And it is on a first come, first served basis, so once that money is gone, there is no guarantee that those people would be credited. So if they would submit their rebate form, we would go through the process. Wichita would say, yep, meets the criteria, but there's no more money left. They would notify us that there would not be a rebate for that. So we will look into it a little more, make sure that our system can do it. We're not opposed to it by any means. We just want to make sure that we can do it and do it efficiently. So we'll look into that the next couple weeks and bring it back to council if it's an option.
So if it's an option, I guess this is my question for Andrew, is there a blanket thing that we could, like ordinance or whatever, that we could say for now until they stop doing it, we wanna participate in the rebate program?
I'm sure that the program they put together has all the, usually the way it works is they say, here's the stuff, just
Okay.
pass this wholesale the way it is. Don't change anything, this is exactly what you need.
I just didn't know, like, if they put specifically, like, for 2026, this, and I didn't know if we could just bypass that and say, if there's a water rebate with Wichita, we will participate in this to get
Yeah,
around
we have to look at
that
the
process.
terms of that program to see
Okay.
whether we become comfortable with that.
That's fine, and
Yeah.
I
Sure.
just wanted to throw it out there. So
Because
we didn't have to
our
do it.
rebates are dependent on their
Yeah.
qualifications, so.
I was thinking of being proactive about it so that we, like, if we didn't hear about them starting the program and we hadn't passed it, we could already, like, if somebody heard about it, could already start submitting it instead of, well, we have to wait for a council approval, then we have to do this, and that, like, taking away a step instead of, well, now we have to look into it, we have to do it every single year, and we have to make sure we're on time with it. If we're not on time with it, then we miss the deadline, and then there's only the $30,000, so if we're not part of that first bit, I mean, Derby and Bel Air are pretty big, so. if we're
Yeah,
not
and we
part
don't
of
know, we don't know that Wichita's gonna do it every year.
No, and that's fine,
Yeah, so it
I'm
could-
thinking,
Could just be a one-time thing
yeah,
during the
I
water
just wanna
restrictions.
be proactive about it
Or the
instead of
terminology could be different.
thinking. Cause I think they've done it for multiple years, I'm just thinking ahead of, okay, well, if we can't do it this year, what steps can we take to be better prepared next year?
Ready for next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll bring that information back to you
appreciate it.
for consideration.
I forgot, well, yesterday was, Administrative Professionals Day, so thank you, girls, and Ben's not here, but thank you very much for all that you guys do. We recognize you every day, we know that who really help us run the city, like, you take everything, you take it with a smile, and we really do appreciate you. Can't thank Ben, cause he's not here, but, please relay that, we appreciate him as well. I know he's been taking on quite a bit of the Facebook stuff recently, or at least that's my understanding. And so we appreciate that, helps take some of the stuff off of us, so we greatly appreciate what you guys do. And I did think of one more question for Public Works, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna get out of here. Thomas, are you guys fully staffed again? Well, other than, ingredients, stuff like that, or are you still missing somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hired a guy and, some family things happened and then he kinda resigned, didn't resign, I don't know. It had me trying to figure out what I was actually doing in life, so.
That dramatic.
And, then he says, well, I don't know if I can work anymore and I'm kinda depressed. And then he sent me back saying, hey, how can I have my job back? And I'm like, man,
Okay.
sometimes it's just easier to, and I have, 3 or 4, so I actually have a guy coming in tomorrow. And he'll come in and fill out his paperwork and hopefully he'll start on Monday, so.
So, yes, we're fully staffed.
Kinda, so we'll see. The police will have to make sure that we are fully staffed, so.
Well, yeah.
There's some,
And I was thinking, working on it, okay.
I just have one last thing. The two ladies out here, they are the fuel that keeps this engine running around.